If this goal is very ambitious and
Yeah.
very long term, you won't see the success. And in that sense, make it smaller and smaller and one thing at a time.
The biggest problem with procrastination is that the goal itself is very vague. Like, I want to get healthier.
A lot of tasks that we procrastinate on, first of all, I feel like they don't take as much time as we often think. Like, we make it a lot worse, I think, in our minds. And also, like, because they are always somewhere in the back of our heads, they will keep occupying it.
The problem there is that the gap between that and the actual habitual behavior, you need to have habits, things that you don't think about, you just do it.
Yeah.
That gap is too big.
So how could we break the behavior of procrastination here, and which of the brain types probably struggle most?
Like, what is the key reason why you procrastinate? There's definitely some tips to this, right? Like, if you procrastinate because it's a very big project.
Are you the sprinter, racing through every task at lightning speed? Or are you the marathoner, detailing every step? Perhaps you enjoy diving deep into a task for a sustained period, or you like to switch things up and tackle a couple of tasks throughout the day. It's important that you work in line with your brain's tendencies, because if you go against your brain's nature, you may feel nothing but stressed. Welcome to the Neurolympics podcast, brought to you by Brains First, a company that helps you make better talent decisions powered by neuroscience. I'm Lucy, I'm the host of the Neurolympics podcast, and I myself have a background in psychology and applied neuroscience. With this episode, we're wrapping up our series on the behavioral cycle, the 6 cognitive skills that we measure with our Neurolympics games, and today we'll look at the 2 last skills that we call acting and executing. So how we actually do things, either with speed, precision, persistent, or with dynamism. We look at the opportunities and the challenges in the workplace, in daily life that come with each of the brain types. And of course, equip you with some strategies on how you can make the best out of your unique brain at work. Well, let's welcome our guests once again on the Neurolympics podcast, our two of our co-founders and also neuroscience experts, Ilja Sligte and Andries van der Leij. It's a pleasure to have you once again here, of course. And you're both prominent researchers also at the University of Amsterdam, researching in the field of cognition and neuroscience. So excited for yet another episode with the two of you. Let's get right into the first brain skill, acting. And I would like to make it really practical and really relatable. So let's, with the questions that come ahead, let's tie them to 2 examples. And the first one, let's look at prepping a client episode, last-minute client episode. And the second one, working at a restaurant. Is that good?
Good, yeah.
Cool. So the first question is, of course, what do we mean by the cognitive skill acting? And then how do we differentiate between fast actors or brains that prefer fast acting and precise acting?
So, there's a couple of preparation steps. You first need to attend, you need to think, you need to decide, you need to plan. So these are the thinking phases prior to actually doing stuff. So here acting basically refers to you know what you need to do, how to do it, and everything has been put into an action plan, then you go, right? So that's what acting means.
Yeah. Okay, and then how do we differentiate between brains that prefer fast acting and precise acting? And then we can maybe tie it to the 2 examples.
So if you would play our Neurolympics games, then the games actually push you to go faster, 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 faster. It's no problem to make a couple of mistakes. And then we actually see that some people really speed up. At the expense of precision, so they make more mistakes. And other people basically refuse to make any mistakes, and they are relatively slower. And this also translates into everyday life.
Okay. And maybe it's nice at this point to share that both of you score very high on the fast acting side. And I myself score quite high on the precision side.
Right.
So if we look at what strengths come with each of the two brain types, and we tie it to prepping a last-minute client episode, then how would your strengths with a fast-acting brain and my strength with a precise-acting brain play out in this scenario?
So the strong parts of a fast-acting brain is actually that when there's lots of work to do, you basically put on the turbo and you go. So also you typically do it in one go. So you don't review what you've written or the work you've done. And that makes it a bit error prone, but you can push out a lot of work. So that's something that I realized myself. I don't know if that
Same
also...
with me.
Yeah?
Whether it's working, I don't know, doing chores, doing, I don't know, supermarket grocery shopping, or doing programming. It's just grinding.
Yeah.
So I have arguments with my wife because I just rush on in the supermarket. It's like clear, list, cross, check, out.
Yeah.
But you forget stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Have
You get
you-
home without
yeah.
the extra bananas for the cake.
Indeed.
Huh?
Did you
Yeah,
get the bananas? Oh no.
Yeah, I have a similar kind of example when shopping for clothes for the kids. It was like parking the car and then within 25 minutes, I got clothes for the next 3 months and back at the car. So that was...
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So shopping with me is also, it's not fun, right?
No,
Because it's purpose driven and it's fully on the executing side. I don't browse. I just go goal directed. I grasp. I choose. I go.
which is great for like a Wednesday evening, 7:30. Clothes are about to close, but not for a Sunday stroll.
And in general, it's not good for any social context where you do this stuff together.
But now you're focusing on the downside a bit. But I think the error proneness of being a fast actor, the real urge to push work out. So in that sense, it has some benefits. You can get a lot of stuff done at the expense of precision a bit. Yeah.
So is that because if I look at myself with valuing precision a lot, and there's a last-minute client episode to prep, I think I can handle stress quite well, but I would feel very tense.
Right.
But would you be completely fine with it? Let's say, okay, in 30 minutes, please be done, and you just do it, or?
Well, I think this relates a bit to the planning phase before acting. So if there's not enough time to plan, it would also stress me out.
Okay.
Well, so basically, you need to know what to do, and then, well, you can time box it, right? So then you know that you have enough time to push it out.
Yeah. And on the precision side, then it would be good for like to maybe check a last minute the final product for mistakes or anything.
Right.
Or how does the precision?
It's
side
basically,
play
I
out?
think, if you talk about precision, then it comes down to reading something over and over and over again before it's finished. So it takes more time to actually do this kind of control phase of acting out. So in that sense, I've seen people that go over an email to a colleague of theirs and then checking their email for 7 times. And this is highly unproductive, right? So like if it's a very important excerpt or a client, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But if it's one of your colleagues, don't even bother to do that.
Yeah. No, that's something I recognize with myself. I freak out if I send out an email that I checked 6 times already and then there's still like a comma mistake, then pure stress.
Yeah, and it's always a balance, right? So even if you're extremely on the fast or precise side, there are always contexts where you may find yourself being a little bit fast or a little bit precise. It becomes a little bit dysfunctional, like Ilja says, is that you generally do be too precise in anything or too fast in anything.
Yeah. It's about the balance.
And sometimes you need other people to point you to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like in any things.
Yeah. I feel like we make a good team then, because it's really
and it's a lot of the times it's complementary, right?
Yeah.
So you take the role where you just grind on, and then you have a person that is more precise, that reviews it, pushes it back. That is a fantastic way of working together.
Yeah.
Because you cross the work is pushed out. Actually, the receptive side, the precise side, actually knows probably that there are little mistakes in it. It corrects that, pushes it back.
Yeah.
And then together you're both sides.
It also depends on the kind of work, right? So like I've been working as an editor in the past. So if it comes down to writing and typos, grammar mistakes, I can quickly see them when correcting. But for people without that kind of experience, there might be some typos in any kind of document. It rarely happens to be.
Okay, good to
But
know.
that's because of expertise.
Yeah, and he knows it happens to me. I can I actually.
Then he is stressed. Oh, no.
Yeah, and this is a way that we still two fast brains that work together. That he checks important mails sometimes first before I send them out.
Yeah.
Because I can reread some sentences and I just focus on the pragmatism, right? The meaning. It's clear what I want to say.
Yeah.
But that may still miss a verb here and there. Sometimes.
Something is not quite right. Yeah. Is there any advice in that sense also you would give to organizations or to individuals if it comes to like team diversity, team dynamics, well-being, productivity, when we look at the two acting styles?
What I typically see when teams consist of people that are on the precise acting side, and all of them are, then there's usually too much work to do. So there's no a person putting on the turbo and getting work done. So then actually you need more diverse people in that sense, that there's some people that do the prep work and then push it to other people that are actually correcting it or having this 4I principle. So that's something that we do see. Also on the fast acting side, then it could be that the work is not done meticulously enough. So it needs to have a slightly higher quality. So then you actually need to have some people on board that are more on the precise side. So I think more diverse teams in that sense would work if you know it, acknowledge it, and team together a fast acting brain with a precise acting brain, and then 1 + 1 actually equals 3 people. So in that sense,
that's true. And some kind of work environments, this is all actually. The whole system is already a little bit like this. For instance, in a high-end restaurant, the grinders are the people who make the plates, and the chef checks every plate, right? And it's just a brief watch before he pushes it out. But he's the precise one, making sure that everything goes to the customers perfectly.
Perfectly, yeah. Nice. Yeah. And then if we turn to the last cognitive skill in the behavioral cycle, execution, how is that, because it also relates to how we do things, but how is that different from the acting?
So if it comes down to executing, it's more like a style that you use when thinking, when acting. So it basically comes down to the stretch of time that you can, actually devote to any kind of task. So some people on the dynamic side, if you go over, say, 20, 25 minutes in a stretch, they lose their focus, they lose their concentration. And so the mind starts mind wandering, time traveling in time and space, go somewhere else during a meeting, for example. So typically after 20, 25 minutes, they're gone, right? Their mind is gone, left the meeting while still being physically present. So, and on the persistent side, these people can, they are able to to actually persist for, say, even 120 minutes, even longer periods of time in one go. They basically don't let go of a task until it's done. So that's the key difference here. It also relates on to like how fast can you get into the flow. If you're more on the dynamic side, it would really help to get into the flow immediately, because if you need about 20 minutes to get into the flow, then time is up, right? So that's and that's two of the key differences. Like lots of changing tasks, changing dynamics during the day is what is needed for the dynamic brains.
Yeah.
And for the persistent brains, they basically can do one task over and over for the entire day without a need for lots of dynamics in their tasks and the work environment.
But sometimes indeed they need a little bit more time to get into that flow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like a sort of diesel engine. You need to you need to feel it, and then indeed you're in it, and then you can continue for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
But if the environment is too dynamic, you don't reach that flow state.
And that means when you have a more persistent brain in that sense, do you struggle more with distractions?
Well,
or
it
being
depends how you organize it for yourself. But like what typically is the case, if you get distracted, you need another 15 to 20 minutes to get into the flow again. So if you get distracted all the time, you never really reach this kind of flow state, this deep focus, deep concentration state.
Okay, and let's say you are in the deep concentration phase. On other episodes, we also stressed how important it is to take breaks for the brain.
Yeah.
Would you then say persistent brains are also less in the need for taking breaks? Because I could imagine it's still super important.
Well,
right?
I think they typically take less breaks, but this goes at the expense of shoulder muscles, right? At the end of the day, you're feeling like all stiffed up, and that's not what. They need to take breaks for their own benefits, for their own health.
Yeah.
I would recommend them to take longer breaks, so typically like 20-minute breaks in between these longer stretches of time.
Okay. And then again, do you have some advice when it comes to team dynamics, well-being, diversity? How can they, complement each other?
So I think this really comes down to looking at meetings specifically. So if you have lots of diversity in terms of executing on your team, some of these people actually have this 25-minute concentration span. So if you have a meeting that lasts for 2 hours, they have been absent-minded, probably for 90 minutes already. So space it more carefully. If you don't know what the teams on your brain are like, have a break every 25 minutes for 5 minutes, and then continue. So you don't push it all in one stretch in one go.
Yeah.
And it's also, even with working, it's a little bit about the nature of what you're going to do, right? So if it's something like, let's just start and see what will happen, so then we will find out how to finish it. That doesn't really work with a person that's, if you need other people for that decision, for instance, how to move on to just basically get that diesel running.
Yeah.
So ideally, they are served best when it's a big chunk of work where you know from the start how to end it.
Yeah.
There's no unclarity about it.
No surprises or something. Yeah.
Especially if you need other people, because then you get out of that zone. Like, how will I continue? And then you're out.
Yeah. Okay. And to lastly tie it to the restaurant example, how would a dynamic or a persistent executor survive there or strive?
Well, I think Andries just gave a very good example. Like if you're serving out the plates, then this is quite a dynamic kind of thing to do, right? But if you are cooking up on one specific dish, then you need to get into it, and basically, usually, like everybody's watching these food shows now, right? Like you basically need to push for 2 hours without letting go in that sense. You really need to persist for 2 hours straight to actually be able to play it out afterwards.
Some cooks, for instance, and now we're getting to restaurant terms, the chef de partie, they make the desserts, etc. They prepare a lot, so then they cut and they make ice cream, etc. These are typically the more grinding parts, whereas the persons that actually serve out almost, like the chef or the sous chef, they have to make sauces, but 30 seconds is too late. So it's really, they have to be very dynamic in how to plan all that stuff, because otherwise things are already melting, too cold, too hot, etc. And these are different roles.
Yeah, super interesting. I think that makes it really, you can really imagine
Kitchen is a fantastic metaphor for
No,
work.
but I think in some sense, if you relate it to, say, the typical kind of office situation in meetings, make sure that everybody is on board. So stick to, say, 25 minutes break, 25 minutes break. So everybody is still on board. When it comes down to time blocking, some people actually need this kind of Pomodoro technique with a timer for 25 minutes. So that would be more on the dynamic side of things. For the persistent people, basically make sure that nobody disturbs you for 2 hours straight. Or work at home on a big project when you really want to get into the flow.
What also helps with persistence, I think, is if you have to stop. For instance, when somebody says that you need to break or that you have to eat something, whatever, that you finish it up into a point that you can easily start again. Because then both the stopping is easier. For instance, if you're writing something or programming something, like this is finished, and then you can quickly continue, and then you're back in the zone again faster than if you stop midway, you just walk away. That's not an ideal
always
state.
make some notes on where to pick up again. And even if somebody disturbs you, you basically need to take some notes. Like, this is what the next step is before you actually answer the other person, because you need to help yourself a bit, right? You probably also know this situation where you go out the door to grab something, and then all of a sudden it's like, I don't know. I don't know what am I doing here? Take a note with you. It's a bit ridiculous that you actually write it down, but then at least that's what I was doing.
Sort of you store your working memory, your RAM on a little note. You can take it with.
Here it was again.
Indeed. And you continue again.
That's some good advice. Nice. I think, we are in the month of December, and that's why also addressing the topic of how we're actually doing task acting and executing is a great time to speak about it, because we are wrapping up 2024 and slowly approaching the new year 2025. And so I think a lot of people are contemplating about what new actions do I want to take in the year 2025.
Right.
Like, which new steps do I want to take? Which resolutions do I want to set? And I don't think it's not a secret that many of us, including probably all three of us, often fail at these resolutions or at intentions that we have in mind, and then we in the end don't do it, or we stop doing it. And the question is, why do we often so fail, of course? And I think hint here is it has to do with certain struggles that come up with certain behaviors depending on our brain types, right?
Sure.
So I think let's take a couple of behaviors and look at them, and also hand out some tips for our listeners, how we can maybe this year better stick to our resolutions or start up with them in the first place. So let's look at the behavior of procrastination. Yeah.
Procrastination. Well, if we're talking about procrastination, like, what is the key reason why you procrastinate? Like typically, if you have very much fun work to do and fun stuff, you don't procrastinate on that, right?
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
one of the key things that people procrastinate on work-wise is, for example, administration. They hate
True.
it, and they basically push it away, don't do it, and then suddenly you need to do a day or 2 days of administration because you pushed it away.
Yeah.
Recognize that?
I hate administration. Yeah. I leave my envelopes closed until I have to open them. Now,
Yeah.
that's true. And it's also a sort of uncertainty avoidance thing. It's not clear how to finish it. So when stuff is either not fun or very unclear, that you don't have, basically you can't plan when will it be done.
Yeah.
What's the goal actually?
Yeah.
You also don't know how to start. It's pretty simple actually.
Yeah.
Then people out of sort of uncertainty avoidance or negative emotions, like you say, they just fail to start.
To start.
Well, there's definitely some tips to this, right? Like if you procrastinate because it's a very big project, break it down. Break it down in small steps. And basically plan these steps, do it.
Yeah.
Even if it's just 25 minutes. So getting started is one of the key things to avoid procrastination. If you really hate to do something, typically if we're looking at dynamic people with a dynamic execution style, they typically, if it comes down to say doing 2 hours of administration, they avoid it until they actually need to do it the entire day. So it's called eat the frog. Just start your day doing 25 minutes of administration. It's
What
very
you don't
bad, of course, but it's just 25 minutes. Maybe next day, 25 minutes. Just chew on it.
Yeah.
I like the sandwich approach, Bear, where you do something very fun first. Then you do the stuff you don't really like to do, you procrastinate on, and then followed by some kind of reward or the most fun task that you can think of.
Yeah. And I think it's so ironic. Like a lot of tasks that we procrastinate on, first of all, I feel like they don't take as much time as we often think. Like we make it a lot worse, I think, in our minds. And also, like, because they are always somewhere in the back of our heads, they will keep occupying us, right? Like, so to knock it out.
This is that idea that David Allen posed a long time ago with getting things done. That even if it's just a thing of 1 minute, for instance, sending somebody an email, and you don't do it, that it occupies your mental space, because even though you're not doing it, you're thinking, oh shit, I should do that. Oh, I have to do that. Yeah. And that, if you add all those times together, it's a complete illogical way to approach these things.
Yeah.
And I think the rule there is just, if it's under 2 minutes or something, just do it right away.
Oh, the 2-minute rule. Yeah,
something
I think
like
he calls it. Yeah.
Because if you're actually happier if you completely forget about it. But most people have these nagging, intrusive thoughts that I still have to do that, and I have to check that, and I have to call that one, and etc. And that it just basically occupies your mental space, and you're actually not doing those things.
Some kind of attention leak here, right?
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. So you have to get that out of you have to cross those things away.
Yeah.
So that you can fully focus on bigger things.
Yeah, more important ones,
Or just put them on paper. So you could also write it down, and then at least it's on paper and out of your mind.
Yeah, that's good. And I looked up some of the most common resolutions that people would set for the new year. Yeah. And I think maybe we can also link it to 2 examples. Physical exercise is something that people always want to, or a lot of time want to tackle in a new year. So maybe we can go with the example of exercising 3 times a week, and also saving up on money is something that people really strive for in the new year. So how could we break the behavior of procrastination here, and which of the brain types probably struggle most
Well,
with it.
the problem, I think, the biggest problem with procrastination is that the goal itself is very vague. It's more,
Yeah.
it's more phrased like I want to get healthier, or
What does it mean?
something like that. If you say I want to exercise more, it's already more concrete. I think there are not the, my intuition is that there are not many people on New Year's Eve with a glass machine think I want to exercise 3 times a week. That is already a quite concrete goal. It's more like hopes, right?
Yeah.
I hope to be healthier or more successful.
I hope.
The problem there is that the gap between that and the actual habitual behavior,
Yeah.
you need to have habits. Like
Yeah.
things that you don't think about, you just do it.
Yeah.
That gap is too big.
Yeah.
So, and then of course you think, oh yeah, indeed, I should get healthier. And then you start doing other things like procrastination,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
getting your phone out or whatever. So
Yeah.
the first thing is the goal setting. The goals themselves should be more concrete. So your 2 examples, get more healthier or save more money.
Yeah.
It should be concrete. How
Yeah.
much?
How much do I want to save?
How many?
Yeah.
Etc.
Yeah. Yeah.
That already helps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you think?
yeah, no, I think so. So if it's saving 10 euros a week, that's very concrete, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or
yeah.
€1 a day, that's very concrete.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it actually adds up, right? You create this kind of habit, and then maybe you can create slightly, goals that are more in the future in that sense. But start small, start easy, and you will see the return on your decisions immediately.
Yeah.
So people are like, you know much more than I about this, that these kind of short-term goals are easily achieved, while these kind of longer goals more in the future is way harder to achieve them, right?
Yeah, this actually is a perfect way. So you say you save more money. It's too vague. So halfway the year, you're nagging, and oh shit, I should save more money. Okay, and then halfway the year, oh, I still have half the year to save more money.
Yeah.
What
True.
does that mean? So indeed, if you do it as simple as Ilja said, I will. You can say I will save 10 euros a week. Or I start with 10 euros, that's also fine.
Yeah.
But if you, at the end of January, have saved 20 euros,
Yeah.
then you already didn't meet that goal. And it's completely clear, right?
Yeah.
And especially if you make it physical,
Yeah.
so you actually get bills, which is a little bit weird when you're saving money, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
clear, right?
Yeah.
If you make it concrete, you can really, like, what's the English term? Spaarpot.
Like a spaarbuchse. Yeah, that's a German word.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like this pig
Yeah,
or
indeed,
something where
indeed.
you
But ideally a transparent one where you can actually see it stack up, right? Then it's very,
True.
very,
That's
very concrete.
rewarding,
So you
yeah.
need to make both the goals concrete and the actual behaviors measurable and concrete.
Yeah.
That is the trick.
Yeah.
Because then you can't fool yourself anymore.
Yeah.
That's the problem, right?
Yeah. And
Otherwise you will end up with the same resolutions but a year later.
yeah, exactly.
And let's make the bridge to exercising here as well. So I hear lots of people that say something like, yeah, I've picked up running again. And then really, like, what is the goal of running here? What do you want to achieve? Well, better health. Okay. And then they typically fail within a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah.
So it's easy because you basically put on your shoes and start running. But if there's no goal, and I want to say be able to run for 20 minutes, or be able to run for 30 minutes, or I want to run a 5K in 2 months' time.
Yeah.
Then if there's no goal, you basically forget about it soon. So there's in that sense, you need to have a clear goal in the nearby future, and probably working towards a longer term goal as well, in a realistic way.
Yeah.
Because like if you decide now that you're going to run the marathon in 3 months,
This is a little bit in our age range, right? I want to run a marathon. Okay. How will you start? I don't know, by running.
Yeah.
This is not a plan, and it's probably also unwise. I'm not a marathon expert, but I think that is a quite, it is a concrete goal, 42K, but it is quite a run.
Yeah. No, but
Might be a bit much in the beginning.
Yeah. So in that sense, to have specific goals, for me personally, like I have a blue belt in judo. I have a red belt in one variant of taekwondo. And now I changed to another style of taekwondo and I had to start at a white belt again. So for me, this goal is finally get a black belt in one martial arts. And that's a goal that's sitting somewhere like, well, I think 3 years in the future or something. And then in the meantime, you're training about 2-3 times a week to achieve this kind of next belt. So it's a shorter term goal in that sense. It's always about 3 to 6 months in the future. But if you don't go training for, say, 2 weeks, then the chances of reaching that new belt become more limited, right?
Yeah.
So in that sense, you need to persist.
Yeah.
The downside of this is, of course, like, well, you get ill and then you cannot train, you cannot get your next belt, and then it's like, forget about all of this. And you basically abandon your entire longer term plan, or you just accept that you need to work half a year extra towards the black belt.
Yeah, I think this is actually, well, first of all, really nice. Thank you for sharing, Ilja, very strong. And I think this is a good transition to the next behavior I wanted to look at, which is perfectionism, which I think especially the precise actors or maybe also the persistent executors would struggle with. But yeah, how do you manage? I think that's also where a lot of people would give up on their resolutions, because let's say you do get ill or something comes in the way and you have an excuse. But then you're like, okay, well, it's not going according to plan, and now I'm frustrated, and now I stop.
Well, indeed. So let's say you have managed to break down your abstract hopes and wishes into concrete goals. The worst thing, of course, is to, for instance, save up just 20 of the 40 euros you can spare, and then say, well, I didn't reach it anyway, let's just abandon the whole project, right? Yeah. So it's actually the same example as Ilja gave, that you have to be a little bit kind to yourself, that you, although you broke it down to concrete, simple steps, it is sort of okay to sometimes not meet your own standards, and that you pick up again. But that's for some people pretty hard to do, of course. Either it's perfect or it's not at all. And, habitual behavior doesn't work like that. It's just hard to stop something or to start something new. Yeah.
But is there some advice maybe that we can think of to better handle if you have the feeling you're failing or you're doing a mistake and you really struggle with it? I mean, acceptance is one thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
well, if you think about the really, really hard habits to lose, right? Then often you have like buddy systems. It's very simple, right? I didn't meet it. It doesn't have to be very, very heavy, but like I failed. You tell a friend, I failed to save up as much as I wanted to. Yeah. And then he said, just grind on, just go on, just try again. That's it.
To have some support,
Yeah, that's good. Talking about it. Yeah.
That's just it.
Yeah.
And then, but the thing about a buddy is, of course, that you have to deliberately ask that person to have that role, right?
Well, I think the key thing is that we usually ask too much of ourselves anyway. So if it's about goals that you can reach and just stick to one thing at a time, create a habit out of it. It usually takes a couple of months to create this drill, this routine. Yeah. Also, when it comes down to breaking habits, it will at least set you back 3 months. If you try that with 3 things at the same time, all 3 will fail. If you just have one thing to change, then this is something that is actually quite manageable.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's also don't demand too much of your
Don't
brain.
demand too
Yeah.
much of your brain. And I think we basically want to change everything in our life at
Yeah.
the same time. Just start with one thing.
Yeah, that's
Actually,
a really
you're
good point.
completely right.
Yeah.
Both all people want all at once. I'm going to be happier, sleep better, be healthier.
Just choose
Be
one
kinder
thing.
to my friends, have dinner parties,
Yeah.
and quit. I don't know, whatever.
Smoking.
Quit smoking.
Quit smoking.
Quit smoking, and all of that, and be more successful in work,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
But that is chasing dreams, and it's you have to pick. Just pick one.
Well,
Yeah,
how are you going
focus
to
on-
monitor all of this at once, right? So,
Impossible.
and there's always something that will fail, right? For
Yeah.
whatever kind of reason. So it's only setting you back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
small goals in the short time, in a short time frame, you can actually achieve them.
Yeah.
And once you get this into, say, a habit system for yourself, then you can choose to move on to the next thing that you want to change.
Yeah, I really like this. So kind of mono task also when it comes to your goals.
Yeah,
Like focus
and
on one thing.
And just like
Yeah.
if you're a perfectionist, yes, it's hard to actually accept that you are going to fail, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you're setting like lower standards in that sense,
Yeah.
in like, well, the example of like saving €1 a day, this could be achievable, right?
Yeah.
So don't make
True.
this goal. If this goal is very ambitious,
Yeah.
very long term, you won't see the success. And in that sense, make it smaller and smaller,
Yeah.
and one thing at a time.
And in that sense, easier and also, yeah.
And let's not forget that meeting simple goals, even though they're very simple, just €1 a day,
Yeah.
that is the reward that keeps you going, right?
Yeah.
You need.
Yeah.
It's not just making it manageable so you can do it. It's
Mm.
allowing yourself to reward yourself when you meet that goal.
Yeah.
For instance, starting with running, just starting, I think you have these 0 to 5K programs. It starts with just 1 minute or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then you're not exhausted.
Yeah.
And you think, okay, I met the goal for
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
And that is the way to keep going.
Yeah.
Instead
Nice.
of running, 15 minutes straight for the first day.
Yeah.
Then
Then you're aching for a week, right?
Yeah, you
Indeed.
don't feel good with yourself and
you
you
skip a couple of
procrastinate
days,
again. Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
etc. You need to
Yeah.
allow yourself for rewards,
Yeah.
because rewards is what driving.
And typically,
behavior.
all these
Yeah.
mental things, like when it comes down to physical exercise, you basically have a build-up phase of about 3 months. The same goes for mental things. So in that
Yeah.
sense, like persist small goals for these first 3 months, and then you probably are addicted to it anyway, right? You have a new routine.
True.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, then it becomes more of a habit and
Mhm.
addicted to the little rewards, which actually is again a very nice keyword for the transition to the last behavior I would like to look at. And that has to do with how can we stay persistent over time, also with our resolutions and goals. Because if we take the two examples, running or exercising 3 times a week, saving up money, a lot of times I think we're out for these, quick rewards, right? We really want to see the progress right away. But with, let's say, saving up money or also exercise, it might take some time until the muscles adjust, until you actually see that we still don't have the word for it.
Piggyback.
The
Piggy
piggyback. Okay, that's the one we're looking for. And you see how it's like stocking up, but that takes some time, right?
It takes some time, yeah.
So how can you ensure that you stay true to that long-term vision, even though you don't see the quick wins right away?
Well, I think you have to work with sub goals. For instance, saving up money. You can start with €1 a day and then build up. In the end, you will, you have 1 month of euros, and then you decide what you maybe you're going to reward yourself with those 30 euros, and then move up. So then if the goal itself is small, but the reward is relatively big, then there are quite cool stuff you can do with 30 euros.
Yeah,
but you won't be able to, I don't know, afford a new car with it.
No.
So
Yeah.
if you make that small as well, you have achieved it, and
Yeah.
then you can continue. I want to add, so these two examples, right? Running and saving money, they're both about starting something. A lot of these resolutions are also about stopping stuff. For instance,
Good one.
I want to stop looking at my phone all evening. These are the harder habits to tackle. Actually, those are habits you want to break.
Yeah.
And I think the key there is similarly that you have to replace those habits with things that you actually do in place.
So how could that look like? Instead of looking at the phone, I speak to my wife.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that will be a fun experiment. Yeah, if she's not looking at her phone, by the way. But similar to smoking, you have these replacement kind of tactics. Every time I want to grasp my phone, I will. Those kind of things. That makes it an active process, because quitting stuff is way easier, because it's
breaking habits it's much more difficult than actually building up on a new habit in that sense. I think quit smoking is notoriously difficult. And I think there's a couple of different habits associated with smoking. So you typically hold something, right? People, this becomes part of their routine. Typically, you take a break when smoking a cigarette. And of course, you also have the nicotine addiction. And nicotine is one of the most potent addictive substances there is. So if you want to break that habit, it might be good to still have the nicotine, like nicotine gum or something like that. You still take the breaks, and for example, you hold a pen. So you basically are replacing the smoking itself already with something else. So you're trying to tear down one of these habits or these bad habits without getting rid of all of them at the same time. And then once you adapt it to that, then you lose the pen or something to fiddle with. So then you don't hold anything anymore. You persist again. And then you quit, for example, with the smoking itself or the nicotine, but you still take these breaks. Very often you still go outside, have a break to not smoke a cigarette. And then once you broke that habit, then you can decide, like, I think it's still smart to have these breaks. I'm a big fan of breaks because you basically mentally charge up again, not doing what you were doing just before. But even if you decide to quit the breaks, then that would be the final step in this entire endeavor. And so in total, this would take you about 3 months to break each of these habits. So it will take you about 9 months to quit smoking if you do it in that way.
And there's actually something I said which I now negate. What you could do with quitting cigarettes is just storing that money that you spend daily or today, whatever, storing it and rewarding yourself. And that is for a lot of smokers a quite substantial reward. For instance, after 2 weeks, I will go to a restaurant.
That's really good.
Because then you are actually also revealing to yourself the uselessness of spending that money and actually rewarding yourself.
And feeling how much it actually is.
It is not the most important factor often, but health is. But it is, you are making it more concrete. Like, not doing that allows me to do this.
And to be absolutely, like, if you quit smoking, the first 7 days are hell, and then it gets better already.
You sound experienced.
Yeah, I have lots of experience in that domain.
Yeah, me too.
Well, really good. I think that's some really good practical advice here that I think surely our listeners can take on to actually set up new resolutions and maybe stick just a little bit longer and better with them. And in our next episode that we're planning, this is going to be like a Christmas special episode. We're going to dive even more deeply into how we can set new intentions and also reflect on the last year. But thank you so much, Ilja and Andries, for bringing once again your expertise on the Neurolympics podcast. By the way, I forgot in the beginning to take a second. Well, if you're only listening in now, you might want to turn to the video because we designed these coffee mugs, right? That we're using here, which I really like.
Yeah, they have a campsite feel to it, which I like.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
They're also
Cold
quite
coffee
light.
by now.
Yeah, it's now cold coffee, so not as enjoyable. But yeah, thank you for sharing all your insights. We hope, of course, that this was insightful for you and that you are taking home something as a little cool down, because we never end the Neurolympics podcast with a little cool down to ease the brain cells into a resting state. What's one last key message you want to send out to our listeners today to take home?
Like start small, I think.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah, and make those small steps very, very concrete and measurable. Don't fool yourself that vague stuff, whether it's a small task or a big goal, will be the solutions to all your good intentions. The intentions are good, but if you don't make them small and measurable, you're not allowing yourself to be rewarded actually.
Yeah. Gamify it, I think.
Yeah.
That would be it. So if you didn't smoke cigarettes for 7 days, put in all the money to something to reward yourself.
Yeah. It's as easy as that. And
awesome.
indeed, given the prices, you can reward yourself significantly after even 7 days.
I love this. Very good last take-home message. Well, we would love to see you engaged on the Neurolympics podcast, so please make sure to leave any questions, any comments. We would love to get in touch with you. Also, we would love to spark some conversations here. If you're in the YouTube chat now, please write something down, some insights, some personal stuff you take away from here. And we would also love to see you more frequently on the Neurolympics podcast, so please make sure to subscribe to any of our platforms. You can find all the information under www.brainsfirst.com/podcast. Also, you can find us on Instagram, on TikTok, so please make sure to subscribe and tune in for our next episode, the Christmas special, before we're ending the year and starting freshly into the year 2025. Well, stay happy, stay healthy, everyone, and see you next time. Ciao, ciao.